Thank you for tuning in to the Mortgage Innovators podcast. Before we get into today's episode, we want to remind you that the Mortgage Innovators Conference 2023 Innovators Unite will be held June 14th and 15th at the Hilton Anaheim. Sponsorship opportunities are now open, and if you want more information, head to mortgageinnovators.com/conference to keep up to date.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mortgage Innovators podcast. My name is Michael Guidotti, and we are excited that you're here today with us. Today, I'm honored to be joined by a veteran to the podcast, Mr. Dan Catinella, as well as Kate Cosgrove from Total Expert. I want to jump right in as the market continues to be unique. We're seeing lenders of all sizes reduce staffing, search for stability, and develop new ways to generate more volume. Dan and Kate, why is pivoting to a purchase-focused answer for lenders to succeed this year?
Well, we just jump right in, Michael. Geez, no pleasantries or anything. Wow.
It's what the people want to hear, man.
So listen, there's everybody knows what the cycle we're in, and we've been calling this a rebalancing in the market for I would say the last 9 months, if not more. It's not a credit crisis. It's not a market crash. It's really a rebalancing to pre-pandemic times. I think when we look at, where we're headed in, 2023, we're going to still be in a very heightened purchase market. We have, most lenders that we're talking to are 75% plus purchase business right now. So, real estate agent referral partners have never been more important, as well as the other kind of shocking statistic to me is the amount of first-time home buyers that are in the market. I think the last stat I saw is now over 50% of purchase businesses are generated from first-time home buyers, which is, is pretty astronomical. So, ultimately, a continued focus on purchase business, building, cultivating, expanded referral partner networks, and being able to engage, educate, and advise with first-time home buyers is going to be, a real key to every originator's success out there in this year.
Yeah, awesome. Kate, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would agree. I think a lot of people over the past year or two have really had to pivot their marketing strategy back to the education part of it. I think 2020, 2021 was so focused on, it was just heavy transaction. And now we have to go back to educating the consumer. And I think that's been a big shift for all the lenders that I work with. And I think to Dan's point about really nurturing the agent relationships over the last, few months, any time I gather with marketing and executives, if we could say, hey, what is one tool within TE that we could relaunch to the loan officers? Let's just get back together, look at the value prop, prove out the strategy. It's co-marketing. It's nurturing the referrals from their established co-marketers. So I think to piggyback off Dan's point, I would agree. I think education and then nurturing those co-marketing partnerships is extremely vital right now.
I couldn't agree more. I think those are two of the biggest ones. When you talk about the education, right? And again, different markets are starting to slow up a little bit, right? But you still talk about in most markets, at least out where I'm at, beautiful California, love the weather, love the taxes.
You don't have to brag about it, Michael.
Rent is still going up. So it's like, so the education aspect of it is like, yeah, okay, so you're a first-time home buyer, you're nervous about buying right now, but your rent just jumped up another 10%. And so it's like the rent is still outrunning what the rate hikes were in some markets. And so I think, again, it's just getting back to those grassroots education of showing them, that really, the education aspect of it. And yeah, to your guys' point too, on the business to business relationships, right? Just the straight B2B stuff, engaging with agents. What we're seeing over the last, few weeks too is, it might not be a direct impact in locks, but activity is up. Like we're hearing, like people are having more conversations than they had the last prior, months, which I think is a real positive, because we know, right, it's going to, certain number of calls equals a certain number of appointments, equals a certain number of applications, and the downstream impact. So definitely seeing what you guys are seeing as well there. So, what specifically do you guys think that lenders can leverage in this change in focus?
Yeah, so to me, Michael, it starts with educating and advising, and if you don't have a very focused educational content for first-time home buyers, you absolutely need to focus on that. Like I said, 50% of purchases, so 1 out of every 2 purchases is going to come from a first-time home buyer, and I don't see that trend changing, especially as you look at the number of consumers that have gotten a under 4% interest rate. I think people are going to be more hesitant to do a buy up or even a buy down. They're just going to hold on to that interest rate as long as possible. So I do think first-time home buyers are going to continue to take up a majority share of that. So if you don't have educational content, because if you ask every originator out there, do you have different conversations with the first-time home buyer than your repeat customers? The answer is typically yes. So making sure that your marketing strategy and your educational content it can be geared towards those, as well as you may now offer some specific product offerings that gear toward them. So you need to segment those customers inside your database and make sure that you build the content accordingly to appeal to them.
I love that you touched on the product piece there, because I actually think it even goes one step further. If you're talking about lenders as a whole, educating your loan officers on those products and on those resources that you're building out. Because I think one of the things that we're seeing is, in this market, there's so many unique products that are coming out. Everybody's got a fancy word for them, whatever you want to call it, for some of these products. But it's like, how do we educate our LOs so that they know all of those tools and all those wrinkles and the guidelines and things that people are, launching? I can tell you, I had a loan officer that reached out to me this week that, just learned about a Fannie product, which allows you to buy a primary residence for your parents if your parents don't meet a certain income. And they had people that had, this person told me, I had 2 people that bought houses that paid the additional hits, and I didn't know that previously. So I think the educating on the LO side is just as important.
Totally. And if your LOs aren't educated, they can't educate their real estate agents as well. And we're seeing more and more originators, especially with the affordability issues, making sure that they're constantly educating referral partners so that they so the referral partners can have those conversations on what the right strategies are to get somebody into those homes.
Okay, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I would echo everything Dan said. I think the other part of it is timeliness. So obviously you need to cater your content to, first-time home buyer, whatever the goal is, but also knowing when to drip that content on them is extremely important. And I think right now is a really good time. What we're seeing is people just still have, in the case of Total Expert, their journeys launched from, 2019, whatever. I think look at those. You need to go in, look at those. When are you dropping your emails? At what point? What are you triggering it off of? And things like that. And I think the same on the loan officer side, use journeys to educate them, what tools within any of your tech stack offering is going to help them get the business that they want. So I think, like I said, everything Dan said, plus knowing when to execute that and what to drive that off of is key. Because I can only speak from my 2 experiences on when I was a first-time home buyer versus when I refied. And I needed way more content on my first purchase. Like, what in the heck am I doing, right? And a refi is pretty simple, right? You kind of go through the motions, but first-time home buyer, like it's all about the education piece, and when they need it is really, really important. Yeah. So that's what I would add there.
The other thing that I would just throw in there too is just, combating the media and some of the negativity that's been out there, right? Is, every consumer has now heard of rates skyrocketing, and I mean, we've all been in this business to know that we're probably never we may never see 2% interest rates again in our lifetime. So, combating the media with, the right strategies on, like you said, Michael, like rents are going up. So whether you're showing a rent versus buy scenario, whether you present a buy down scenario, what is the cost of waiting with appreciation, home appreciation still trending upwards. And I personally don't see that necessarily changing this year. I think it'll level off some, but I still think with, inventory is going to, we're going to see some, inventory shortages very quickly once this activity starts picking up. So I think cost of waiting is still applicable as well, but making sure that, we're putting those strategies out there and educating consumers and real estate agents so they can combat the negativity in the media that basically is telling everybody don't buy a home now.
I love that, and it's a perfect segue into, really, what and how, is Total Expert helping lenders in this market and really positioning yourselves to support them even more beyond, because we know, right, this is a cycle, so we're going to get past it. So I'd love to hear a little bit about what you guys are doing over there.
Okay, you want to kick it off, or you want me to?
Nah, I'll let you.
Okay. I would say two things most significantly. One is around, referral partner networks, and any way we can support referral partner networks and drive further value to them, whether that's through, co-marketing collateral, whether that's through some data intelligence, but any way we can, stay in front of, educate referral partners and create value through marketing collateral is really what we do, and what, really the Total Expert platform has been born out of, is really supporting those real estate agents. The second is using data intelligence to what I call, turning every originator's database into an appreciating asset. So using data intelligence to rely a bit less on referral partners as their only source of transactions, and looking at all the past customers in their database and using data intelligence, to understand what the next best action is to serve the consumer best. So whether that's something as, something as behavioral as a mortgage inquiry, or a consumer goes and lists their home on the market, but making sure that, it's no longer feasible or scalable to contact every consumer every year and say, hey, let me check up on your mortgage. First of all, and there's a lot of originators that still do that, and they've seen success, but the reality is I don't believe it's scalable. And I also don't believe that when the originator decides to contact them, it may not be the most ideal time. So using data and intelligence to ultimately determine when the best time is to engage the consumer, and understanding their financial profile to the fullest to understand what is the next way you can serve that consumer, is a lot of the investments that we're making this year and beyond. Is, basically bringing in more financial data into that consumer's profile inside of our platform to ultimately surface the next opportunity for originators to ultimately turn their database into an appreciating asset.
Love that. And I think even from that data intelligence piece that you're referencing, I think also serving opportunities back up to your agents, right? Because so often it's a one-way street. So, leveraging that data to be able to present opportunities back to your agent, or even conversations like, hey, did you know this person just listed their house? I'm going to follow up with them, and I'll circle back with you. I think it's really creating that partnership and that relationship. So love that you touched on that.
The golden goose, right, is the more deals you can bring to your agent, like nothing strengthens a relationship better, right?
Yep. Kate, bring us home.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add to that, so my role at TE is more on, the customer success side. So we're really heavily focused on looking at a lot of the data that Dan referenced. So, you know, the monitoring, the down to like the usage of the assets in your library. You know, I think from the standpoint of understanding what are your high producers using? What are your successful, you know, these success stories that you want to tell to the rest of your loan officers? What assets are they using? What emails are they sending? When are they sending it? You know, what tasks are they completing? And really looking more holistically at their activity, not only within Total Expert, but your full tech stack, right? And I think it's really important for, you know, what I do at Total Expert to sit down with our clients and really analyze that data with them so that we can quickly say, hey, I think you should jump into this journey and change when you're sending this email or update this subject line, or really, really simple things like that that can create quick success, and we can tie it back to, you know, the numbers that we're seeing and the reporting that we're looking at. So I would say that's what our focus has been on the customer success side, is really looking at these data points that help us sort of pivot in this market to make them really successful. So
the A/B testing aspect, right? Is
yeah,
those little tweaks to see how the impact is. So love that. Well, hey, I know we're coming up on time. I want to thank both of you so much. Kate, thank you. Dan, thank you for joining. Thank you all for listening to today's episode. If you like what you heard, make sure to subscribe to the Mortgage Innovators YouTube channel or wherever you podcast. And until next time, see you later.